How we doing?
Howdy, howdy. What's up, Alex?
Where are we at?
Good, thanks. How are you guys?
Good, man. Good. You're up in Canada, huh?
Yeah. Up in Canada, yeah.
I will be in Canada in a few days.
Oh yeah, whereabouts?
The West Coast. I'm going to a mastermind.
Oh, nice. Like Vancouver area or something?
Yeah, I think just east of Vancouver. We're flying into Vancouver. Where is that in relation to you?
I'm on the west, but kind of east of Vancouver in Calgary, Alberta, like the province next to.
Oh, okay. I know Calgary.
Still a ways, but yeah.
Well, I appreciate you coming to pick me up at the airport. That's nice.
Yeah, sure. It's only a 10-hour drive. Canada's a big country.
Yeah, just plan your schedule out accordingly, man.
Yeah.
Cool. What's up, Alfredo? How you doing, man?
Good. What's going on, gentlemen?
Much, man. Not much. Getting back into it. I think I'm in the midst of recovering from my sickness and starting to have a clear head again, which is nice.
Yes, sir.
So hopefully they'll let me into Canada. We'll see. But who's got some wins? Who's got wins? We got any wins?
Greg Adams.
Wins. Can you hear me?
Greg, what's up, brother?
Can you hear me?
Yeah,
we hear you.
Okay, cool.
sound
All
great,
right.
man.
Yeah, real quick here. I got some wins this week. I got some referrals, which are always good. So one customer, local, he referred me to somebody else, and I'm gonna need some help with this area here. But anyway, it's going to be a much bigger project than what I originally thought. You never want to window shop people. That's the lesson I learned on this, because I'm thinking it was one small thing. It's actually pretty big, so I need to kind of map it out. But they're definitely wanting to do something. And the good thing about that is, I won't get into too much of the details, is that this was a referral from a customer who was already working for the other business. So he already saw what I was doing with his business with the heat maps and all this stuff. Now, he referred me to this other guy. So that's one. The other one was another one yesterday for another local company. And oddly enough, I don't know how these people know each other, but they actually know them too. So I'm put out a proposal, I did a heat map and a site audit for them. I just sent that out. So that's my, and my other customer that I've been doing work for, he loved the heat maps. He loved the success that we're doing with him. So now he's wanting to start a whole nother company. So that's the project cycle going right now. That's my win.
Yeah, man, you should look into some of those courses about, there's a bunch of them out there right now. There's a couple of really good ones about like trying to get ownership in some of these companies. When these people are starting it based on your work,
yeah,
it could be an opportunity to like, hey, this is how I plan on.
Roland Fraser. I've known Roland Fraser for a long time.
Roland, yep.
Yeah, you know Roland. Yeah, I've known him for probably 12 years now. Met him out in Vegas 10, 12 years ago. Super smart guy. So
yeah, I saw him. We saw him about a year ago. Jeff and I were at a conference out in where was that, in San Diego in September, and I saw him speak, and I always get hit with his ads, but I've got a buddy who's teaching one of these courses too. Haven't been through it yet, but I'm going to start getting into it myself. We learned this amazing skill set of like how to rank things, and we're really learning how to create business. And this is what most businesses struggle with to some extent, right? This is like, they say that businesses go out of business not because they starve, because they have indigestion. So you need to like take it with a grain of salt. But what you guys learned with this and this skill set can be applied in a lot of different ways, not just in the business model we have. Greg, I saw your message. I think I kind of had my hands full and I didn't respond, and I marked it on red to circle back. Today's call, what I want to do is I really want to do like an ask me anything type format. We've covered so many different topics. It's hard to think of like, okay, what are we going to do new this week? So you guys have some questions, be thinking of some questions. Think about what you're doing in your business, where you're struggling, right? I remember when I first started and I was like going through courses, and, I would tune into all the calls, but for some reason, I was almost like compartmentalizing problems that I had, and I wouldn't really want to ask them on the calls. And I was just like, well, I need to go figure that out. But it was actually like the group that I was a part of that, like, they could have been answering my questions, and I just didn't take advantage of it. And I'd hate for you guys. I don't know if you guys are emulating that behavior, or you ask whenever you have a question. But let's talk about it. What are you guys struggling with? First, let's get into who's got more wins. Patric Rulin's usually good for a win. You got a win, brother?
Nothing crazy. I mean, this is a win. I basically took the day off. It was a nice day in Colorado. Went up for a hike with some new friends I made, which I wouldn't have been able to do with a regular job. So I guess that's a win. Yeah,
that's definitely a win, man. You need to realize that the reason that we're doing this is once you get to a certain spot and you've got money coming in, you get to decide what you do with who, when you do it and for how long, right? That's one of the strongest correlations to happiness, is being able to make those decisions. And don't when you have these days and you go hiking or you take the day off, man, this is what this is for. This is what this is created, right? So that's a win. And you guys need to be grateful for this on a daily basis, and don't just get used to it, because there's a lot of people that are some people are still locked into a job that are trying to work their way out of it. And they don't get to this. They have to go to work, like 9 a.m. You got to be at work. You have to stay here until 5, and you have to work while you're here. And, we're going to ask you questions throughout the day on what you're doing and how's this going? You got to answer these questions. You want to go on a vacation? Well, we're going to give you 2 weeks out of the next 52 that you're allowed to do this vacation. The rest of the time you have to be here at work, right? So I think it's important to not take that for granted. And those of you guys that are on the other side of it still, this is we've all got X amount of days, and you're giving one up, right? You're giving one up for the job. So create some urgency to get out of that job, because being on the other side of it is a good thing, right? You got to enjoy where you are, no matter where you are, and not always just be thinking about the future. But I personally believe humans weren't meant to be captive to other humans with some job, and they're paying you because they get more money. Just like when you guys pay your VAs, you're getting more money based on their work, and they're doing the same thing to you, right? They're exploiting your hours, they're leveraging your hours. So have some urgency. This business model is one of many tickets out of that life, and allowing you to have this freedom. I'm leaving tomorrow. We're going to San Diego for a few days. If anyone's in that area, hit me up. Maybe we can grab a drink. And then we're going to spend 4 days in Western Canada. I've joined a high-level mastermind group for people that own software companies, trying to be better for you guys, have a better product for you guys, have better support. Obviously we've got kinks that we've got to work out on our software, and I'm hoping by continuously trying to level up, you guys will have will reap the rewards of this, and we'll be able to grow our product. But it comes from this. Jeff and I were talking about this prior to the call. We're we're constantly engrossed in self-development. It's almost just a part of our life, right? And this joining these masterminds, they're not cheap. I'm paying almost $3,000 a month to be in this group to get access to these high-level coaches. And I believe it's worth it, right? It can be a lot to stomach at the time when you're paying the bill, but what's the alternative is being stagnant or going slow, right? If I can, I've been doing this for more than 6 years. And I think a lot of you guys are on here, and a lot of you guys are watching the replays of these calls because you're fast forwarding things, right? I'm giving you guys time, because what I went through and the lessons and the mistakes that I've made, if I could share that and you guys can skip over and leapfrog some of the things that we had to do, well, then you get to go faster, and you get you get to buy time. Instead of it being 6 years for you, maybe you get there in 3, right? I made a lot of mistakes. I didn't really have somebody that's oh, do this and don't do this. There was groups that I were involved in, and they weren't always directing us towards our best interests. They were directing us towards their best interests, which is kind of cool. What we're doing here is I'm basically telling you exactly how we do things in our business, and you can take it or leave it. But if you take it and you follow the path that's worked for us, we've seen that work for a lot of other people, then I think it will save you time and it'll help you get to these faster rather than being 6 years. Maybe like, hey, maybe you can get there in 1 year if you just like follow our blueprint, just like Spencer, right? Spencer's, I don't know if Spencer's on this call. Are you on this call, man? He was at, yeah. So he was at the strategies that I was sharing with you that you used to go from like 10K. I think you were at 10K for like 2 years, right?
Like a year.
A year, 10K for a year.
That's a long time.
It is a long time. It can be frustrating when you're working and things aren't changing, right? You're like, okay, I'm coming here, I'm putting in more work, and I'm basically treading water. Am I making progress? But you just don't realize that sometimes, like, I always share that analogy, like the steps. Sometimes the steps that we're taking are like it's internal, and we don't really. They say like the bamboo tree, right? It grows for 3 years underground, and then it shoots up like 80 feet in 1 year or something, right? So that's part of it, right? You've got to internalize some of the mistakes and find solutions. But also, we dropped a strategy in there, and Spencer ran with it, and he went from 10K to, I don't know, what did you see? I think you were at 10K in December, and correct me if I'm wrong. Is that right?
Yeah, it was
then-
November, and then we cracked I think like 15 in December, and then it was like 3 or 4 months there in a row that we're at 25K. And I think the other day when I messaged you, I had collected 33,000 in 30 days. And honestly, you guys, like, it's just those things that Patrick talked about, that when the puzzle pieces start to come together. I'm not the smartest guy around, and so I know everybody in this group can do this. It's actually really unreal these days. The ride's been amazing. So
Yeah, and Spencer and I were kind of going back and forth. Spencer's got a sister who's going through she's got a serious illness that she's trying to work through, and a lot of people in Spencer's shoes, like if he had that full-time job, he may not have like, can you imagine having to choose that? Like, I've got to stay and work, but my sister, she may not be around for forever, and I've got to give some of that because it's like I've got to pay my bills, right? I'm locked into this. But instead, like we were talking about seasons, we go through these different seasons in our life. Sometimes it's a season of like, hey, my business is like skyrocketing right now. And then sometimes it's like, look, I've got to focus on other things outside of this. I can't focus on work right now. Like, I've got other stuff there's other more important things that I need to attend to. And when you get this, the great part, when I was kind of like trying to, I always try to put myself in people's shoes, and I put myself in Spencer's shoes, and I'm like, man, like now he's in a situation where he gets to go, and he told me that he's flying, I think 4 other people, there's 5 of them that are flying out there, and then they're going to spend like some time in a few different places and move around, and like he's not going to be focused on work during this time, and he has that choice now where it wasn't always a choice. And I'll tell you, man, it's like, whatever you did, Spencer, is like, you deserve the credit for it. But to be a part of that and to kind of like talk to you on a weekly basis and to see how things have changed when, you've really showed up and been on these calls, it's really rewarding for myself and Jeff. And there's several other people that you guys don't know that are constantly contributing to this group. And it's just super cool to kind of be a part of this journey for you guys and help you guys, just sometimes you just got to like do one of those things where you put your hands like this and they put their foot, and then they can climb the rest of the way up. And sometimes there's just a little bit of encouragement, and I, for those of you guys that, hey, I'm at $0 a month, or I'm at $500 a month, like you guys are not nearly as far from like 10K or 20K a month as you think. It's really up to you. What are you going to do with your time and the lessons that you hear? Are you going to believe and trust and really dive into this? Or are you going to like have these other people that are in your life that say like, oh, I've never heard of that, or you can't do that? Like, are you going to listen to those people? And then while the rest of us are the ones that say, yes, we can. Yes, I can do that. We're going to go and change our lives. So you guys have to make that decision. And like Spencer said, this isn't, we're not performing brain surgery here, guys. We're teaching you what you need to do if you follow this stuff. You need to be better than like some joker whose nephew built their website and they're the best in town. You don't need to be LeBron James. You need to be some high school kid that no one's ever heard of. That's like good. You don't have to be excellent. If you choose the right markets, right? You choose the right niches, the right cities, this game's easy. It's a lot easier. So, you know, like whatever it is, it really, the thing that I've noticed, and, you know, it was a big turning point for me when I went to a conference, and I was like, I'd spent 10 years, a decade playing poker for a living against brilliant people that are like, man, these people are all smarter than me. That's what I was thinking. Like, I'm like, what? I've shared this before. What do you do before you played poker? Oh, I graduated from Harvard Law, or I did this. And I'm like, holy cow, man, you're really smart. And like, and then we come here and I'm like, oh, okay, I need to find a city and a niche where the person doesn't have good backlinks. They don't have much content, and that's the qualification. I just need to do that. And I went to this conference and I talked to these people and they're doing like 25, 40, 50K a month. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to find out why these people are better than me. And I'm like, what is it? Or, okay, maybe they're better looking than me. Maybe they're better with people. Like maybe they're smarter than me. And I'm there and I'm like, nope, definitely not better look. No, I'm just kidding. I basically said, these guys are not like the guys in poker. These guys are smarter than me. I know it. You just like talk to them. They're just their word choice. I'm like, man, these guys are brilliant people. And I was intimidated. These people, this one guy, he worked in an auto parts store, and another guy was like selling, what was he selling? He was selling some stupid vacuum cleaner or something. And like, then now he's making 40, 50K a month. There's people like you guys, you don't have to have a college degree. It's up to you. Like you if you follow the steps, we've got 1.5 years of videos laid out for you guys with step-by-step instructions on how to go for, like, do your due diligence, build the website, rank the website, get the Google My Business, every step of the way. It's all right here. If you guys just like crush these videos for the last week, if you're new to this group and you're getting started, like it's right there. Like I've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on education and training, and I've taken this information and I basically, here it is right here. Some of you guys can go and find these courses for $10,000 and you know, I've paid for them, and I'm like, I didn't learn anything in that course. That was stupid. And like, I think that maybe because we just drop this stuff every week for free and you guys don't have to pay, that maybe it gets devalued in your head. But I'm telling you, this is what works. And people like Spencer and Patric and all these other guys, they just execute the same thing. Just like when I went and talked to those guys in the conference, what I determined is they're not smarter than me. They're not better with people. They just did the same repetitive thing more times than I had done. That was what the difference was. I was like, that is what is deciding who wins. Because coming from something competitive, when I was playing poker for a living, I'm studying math, I'm studying psychology, I'm hiring body language experts, I'm like talking to the best players I know. We're like evaluating, we're doing like expected value on the money that's in the pot, trying to determine like, okay, how can I get like another half bet out of this like situation where we're just like razor's edge trying to really like shave this stuff off. And then this is what it is. Like these guys, like all we got to do is build more websites and do this like boring stuff more times, and then we win. That's it. And then we get to make more money than like a doctor or a heart surgeon. Like, are you kidding me? These guys are going to school for 16 years, right? And I've got to go and build boring ass backlinks to be able to make this money, or to like, I've got to contact more people on Craigslist to find my Google My Businesses. That's the requirement. And I'll tell you, man, it can be so simple that we think we need to complicate it and do some other thing, right? If you've got to 500, you can get to 1,000. If you got to 1,000, you can get to 2,000. Like if you can run around the bases once, you can run around them twice, right? Don't make this like some other complex thing, because making a bunch of passive income is hard, and we can't do it, right? Like it's so much easier than that. Just put your blinders on and do some boring ass stuff again and again and just repeat it. Michael Jordan did not become Michael Jordan because he's in the stands shooting 3-pointers from behind the backboard. He's shooting the same jump shot again and again. He's doing the fundamentals. Like, you know, Tiger Woods isn't constantly working on all these like crazy trick shots. He's just like going and practicing the fundamentals again and again. If you guys just repeat the same stuff that got you to $500 a month, and if you're getting started, watch all the videos we have for beginners in there, due diligence, how to get to 10K, all this different stuff, and then just repeat it again and again. Put the blinders on. Don't listen to these people, these naysayers that haven't done it, that says SEO's dead, or like whatever the flavor of their, like, they didn't do it and they're telling you that you can't do it. They don't even know what they're talking about, right? There's people on here that are doing it. Like Alfredo had a big win, 3 weeks ago, where I think he was at the beginning of his journey. And then like, now the whole world's different. Now, oh, this works. I've got money coming in, right? I've got cash in my pocket. Like it is a game changer. You know, you invest all this time. It's much harder. I'll tell you guys, it's much harder to go from like 0 to 10K than it is to go to, like, Spencer, do you agree with this? Harder to go from 0 to 10K or 10K to 30K?
0 to 10. Now it's almost, you know, you guys hear me talk about this wave, but it's truly this wave. Honestly, now I'm so used to the mindset of making money consistently, that it's almost like it's the opposite mindset that I had previously. And the one thing to kind of piggyback off what Patrick just was talking about, for me, you guys, one of the big aha moments was when I was able to basically mentally do a mental hack and really break this stuff down into bite-sized pieces. How do you take and go, okay, how do I get to 25K? That seems like a ginormous amount, which it is, but how do you break that down? Is that 5 website builds for you? Is that X amount of this, X amount of that? For me, I think everybody in this group is capable of building 100 websites at an average of $1,000 rent a month. That's going to make you a millionaire. And if you can't do that, then let's start with 25. Let's get 25 of these things going and get 25K in your pocket a month. And then all it is, like Patrick talks about, it's just rinse and repeat. I have like 5 more properties that I need to get rented. Then we're going to build again. And we're going to consistently just rinse and repeat. And next thing you know, that 7-figure mark is going to be there. So, yeah, just encourage you guys to figure out how you can mentally wrap your head around some of these big numbers, because I've never known anybody to make $40,000 to $50,000 a month, and I'm knocking on that door. Like that's unreal to me.
Yeah,
So,
it's crazy how quickly it can stack up. Once you get the machine, once you got all the parts of the machine put together, then it's like, oh, this thing just runs. And I'll tell you guys, it's funny because you know, I get these Facebook ads all the time, and they'll say like on Instagram, I'll get these ads. It's like so and so makes like 10K a month in passive income, and I'm like, that for most people, when they see that, they're like, holy cow, how is this like 25-year-old making all this money in passive income? And I'm just like, that's cool, man. I'm happy for that person. I'm completely unimpressed though. And they're using the ad to try to like hook people in, right? And grab their attention. Like it's like this huge, impressive thing. And this, after a while, it gets normalized for you. And then you know, the money stops to matter as much, right? And you start to focus on like, okay, like how do I I'm solving these like bigger problems now. And like, what am I going to do with this money? When Spencer started getting some bigger numbers, I was like, hey, you need to read this book called The Psychology of Money, where it's like, you need to start thinking about money differently. right? And you got to go through these like evolutions. Some people, money is going to mess you up if you, and I think The Psychology of Money is a great book to, like, when you really start to, even if you don't have, like, maybe regardless of where you are, it's a great book. But there's a story in there, and I know a guy, this like really, and I think a lot of you guys maybe know of a person like this, maybe the same person I know, but this guy is at this party with these people, and this guy had made like a few $1 million, but he's at this party for this like billionaire, and this billionaire is he's got everything, like he's got all these toys, and the guy that the guy that had made a couple $1 million, he's talking to another guy, and the guy is like, man, like, you were in this situation where you could have like become this, and you could have been a billionaire. And the guy's response was, well, that's true, but I actually have something that he'll never have. And the other guy's like, well, what do you have that this guy doesn't have? And he's like, I have enough. And it really like clicked in my head of like, there's some people that are playing this game for the wrong reasons, and they're never going to have enough. That's not why I'm playing the game. I'll tell you, like, for us, like, being able to go and invest in other things, and we're going to go spend 2 weeks in July with my family and friends in Ohio, and I spent 2 weeks in Mexico where I was wanting to watch the game in the box seats, so we got the box seats in Mexico. And we watched the Mexico US World Cup qualifier from a box suite and like, what an awesome, we pulled in and we parked, and then our seats were like 10 yards away from our parking spot. And I wanted to experience this stuff. I don't care about the money, but I want, like, life is short, and one day we're all going to leave it behind, and you've got these days to have experiences. And that's what this creates for me, right? Is this potential. And like, Spencer, he's going to have these opportunities, but right now what it's creating for him is the ability to just like put life on pause and go focus on family when it's time, right? And to be able to like go and be there for your family, because not everyone has that option. Some people are going to be forced into a job. So the point of this call has like shifted a little bit. I want to get into what I had planned. What questions do you guys have? Let's talk about this. What are we struggling with? Guys, don't feel like, if any of you have this part of you where I don't want to ask a stupid question, or I don't want to ask it in front of all these people, just dismiss that shit. There's no stupid question here, guys. Let's like, don't worry about what other people think. What do you need so that you can move your agenda forward with this? So ask me whatever it is that you want. What do you have? Where you struggle? I see Emery. What's up, brother? How you doing, man?
Yeah, a couple in Facebook. If you want to start there, you can start with Emery, and then we'll go.
Let's start with Emery. He's on the call, and then we'll circle back to Facebook. Emery, what are you struggling with, man? Did he disappear? You're muted, brother. There we go. Did I just mute you? Oops. Sorry, man. There you go.
There we go. All right. Yeah, what's up? Yeah, I've been struggling with, well, this is actually going to turn into a win, but I've been struggling with one particular site that has been getting leads for quite a while, and I think a lot of people can relate. So that's why I wanted to bring it up, but finally got it rented out. I just closed last night. I had like 5 trial clients over the past like 5 or 6 months or something like that. And just on that same, I mean, complacency as well as just like opposite of that, and just trying to break through, right? And it sometimes it takes a while, but it's always worth it. And it's just one site, but it's $900 in my pocket that I didn't have the day before. So took that as a solid win, and so that's 3 for me this past month. And
oh, that's so cool, man.
Yeah,
$900 recurring per month.
So that was honestly, we were still on a trial, and he just sent it to me. So
that's when you know that, like, when you have that reaction from a client, that's when you know you've got something, right? When they're like, hey, just like, take this money, you've earned it,
Yeah. So I didn't ask for it. I'm trying to get the invoice from him to see, how much the job was and all that, so I can try to figure out numbers for a sales call. But so far so good. Definitely just, gonna take that one for what it is.
Yeah, man, that's super cool. And that's like this $900 now, but it sounds like it's the beginning of a relationship, and you know, a relationship when you're delivering this stuff, regardless of what format you choose for the payment, it's recurring in some level, whether it's like commission or you know, it's pay per lead or however you decide to set it up. One of the things we're pushing for is like getting that credit card and be like, hey, this is like, we bill on the first of the month, we'll prorate. That's kind of like just right into it. Like, hey, I want to come up with something that's mutually beneficial long-term for both of us. We worked really hard to position the site so that it can create this. And with the way our business is growing, it can be hard for me to keep up with like what job closed and what job didn't. So I would rather make less money and just get somebody dialed in. So like, you know, what do you think about $900 a month? And we'll start it on the first, or like, hey, today is like the middle of the month. So this actually builds trust. If you take part of the money when they're willing to pay all of it. So like, let's say it's the 15th, and rather than taking 900, say like it'll be 450 for the rest of this month, and then it'll be the full amount on the first. When you have the recurring billing that starts on the first, it like when you have 3 clients, it's not that big a deal. But when you have 35 clients, like who paid and who didn't is a lot easier to manage when they're all on the same day, right? And I can just look down. I use Stripe, so I just look down Stripe and be like, okay, this payment failed, and it's all Stripe is doing the work for me. I don't have to go and like send an invoice and get it approved and like all this other stuff. It's just like, okay, it bills their credit card, and then I can just look and see, oh, that payment failed, and then I can reach out to them and say, like, do you have a new card? You know, so. Congrats, Emery. That's super cool to hear, man. It's cool to see you like really getting into the game and getting some traction, man. So congrats.
Thank you. Actually, one last thing on that note, just big shout out to Greg and our accountability group. Like that's been a lot for me for sure. So yeah, he's definitely helped, as well as
Greg Adams.
He's not on here. Yeah.
That's awesome, man. That's cool. I don't know if you guys feel it, but we've worked hard to try to create a community that's about helping other people and like positive. So I love hearing this stuff. Greg's always been good to me, and you know, it seems like he's really having a positive impact on people. I know Jeff went and had lunch with him, and you know, he had good stuff to say about him. So super cool, man. All right, who else has got Jeff? You said you got some questions on Facebook.
Yeah, there's one from Nathan. He's saying he's looking at moving from CallRail to LeadSnap, but the only thing holding him back is LeadSnap has number pools and a good way to track all the calls and connect them to which ads are doing best to get some good data. Is there something similar he can do in LeadSnap?
We don't have number pools right now. We are like, I was actually trying to put together a calculator, but we beat like CallRail, call tracking metrics, what converts. I went through and built our pricing and made sure that we beat them at every single level. So if number pools are big for you, it could be a little bit of a pain in the ass, but it could also save you. I don't know. You could, hey, let's have some, most of my numbers aren't here, but for the ads, I'm using this number pool here, right? So I don't know if that makes sense. Maybe the cost of the plan would make that not a good deal. We don't have the number pools on our like immediate roadmap anytime. Like it's not going to come out in 2022. So I just want to make sure that I'm transparent. We're working on a lot of other things, but that's not one of the things that's on our roadmap right now.
Cool. One
Also,
more.
I want to run a special in June. I mentioned this briefly last week with Patric. Like any of you guys that move over your numbers, if you do not have a LeadSnap phone account and you move over to LeadSnap during June, I'll give you your first month free. Okay. I think that once you guys get into our system, you're going to realize how big of an advantage it is versus some of these other ones where everything is in one place. Just like it's not perfect, but it plays together really well. When I can say, hey, when this phone call comes in, if it's longer than this, then automatically send this text message, and we're going to keep on adding on to those automations until this scale just really tips, and it's going to be expensive not to use our system. Jeff, what do you got next?
Yeah, next one is, what is the best approach to setting up a GMB for a niche where you already have an address, but you want to avoid immediate suspension?
Okay, where you, I guess I'm having a hard time connecting the different parts of that question. So what's the best way? I mean, I guess if you already have address, does that mean you already have another GMB at the same location? Or,
Oh, I didn't get that from it, but I think he's just kind of asking like, how would you sort of proof, not bulletproof, because there's no such thing, but like make it a lot more, a lot less risky that you're going to get an immediate suspension.
right, so what are some of like the best practices,
Yeah.
right? Okay, so I'm gonna go over as many as I can think of right now, but we also have covered this in our in past calls where it may be more complete. So you may want to cross-reference this with that. So first of all, when you choose a name, like don't choose like landscaping service Phoenix as your name, right? Because that is like, that doesn't sound like a real business. And Google really, in my opinion, targets those like super keyword rich Google My Business names. So an alternative may be something like Elite Landscaping Services of Phoenix, right? Where I'm putting in some like branding towards that. And I want that to kind of match throughout my site. I think setting up big citations. So Yelp, Yellow Pages, Crunchbase, some of these stuff like that, getting some of those set up prior to requesting the Google My Business we've had mixed results, but like it's more than coincidence that we've seen where that seems to be more positive. Definitely have your Google My Businesses on separate email accounts. Okay, that's important. I would avoid putting your phone number on there if possible. Having your address show is a double-edged sword. I think that there is more trust in like, authority if you decide to share the address. However, there's this remote possibility that someone could show up at your door. But if you choose a phone-driven business, these people don't want to do that, right? For the most part, they don't want to come over to your house. They want to call. If I want landscaping, I don't want to go and like go to some shop and talk to. Let's have a phone conversation. Come out and look at my yard, right? So, what else can we do? I think those are kind of the main ones. You want to use a different phone number for each of your Google My Businesses, right? You need a unique phone number there. Maybe having the relationship strong between the name of your Google My Business and the domain has more authority to it. Don't choose a name that someone else is using. So when you go and you're like picking yours out, you can go to, I'll bring it up here on my screen. We can go to google.com/maps and we can do kind of a search for what names. Oops, hold on one second. Stop this attempted share. Okay, all right, let's try this game. Okay, all right, so google.com/maps, and I can go in here and let's say I search like Dallas roofing, like I would go through and maybe this isn't the best spot to do it, but I want to make sure that the name that I'm choosing doesn't exist. I don't want a duplicate. I don't want something that's super close to somebody else. That being said, I'm not really willing to just let them choose the best keyword and not have that be a part of like the having a keyword in there is going to influence your ability to rank for that term. So you want to choose your best term, but you don't want to. It's kind of like got to walk the line a little bit and be careful. Like don't like you go through and you'll see somewhere in here there'll be a really lead gen. Maybe Dallas is unique. But usually you'll see like lead gen names and then people don't even go and look for it. I think if you do a search for like Google Place ID, maybe this is a better way to do it. You can come in here, right here, and this will, I think, so if I say like Dallas roof, so you can see there's two companies right here that say Dallas roofing. These are Google My Businesses. So if you do something like this, just make sure that you're avoiding naming it too similar, because that's going to result in an instant suspension. Don't put more than 5 Google My Businesses at the same address. And I wouldn't do it like you don't want more than one that's in the same niche. And I probably wouldn't have more than don't do more than like one a month or two a month. If you try to do 5 in 1 week, like you're gonna set off some alarms, and I don't think that's gonna work out too well for you. So those are some of the things that I would do. Best practices to try to avoid that instant suspension. And then if it does get instant suspension, that's not the end of the game. Like, don't give up. Appeal the suspension. Ask why. Harass Google until they let that go through. I would say there was a time where like 5 or 6 out of 10 of our Google My Businesses would get like suspended, but we were also getting like 7 out of 10 back by just like constantly appealing to Google and just kind of playing the buffoon a little bit, where it's like, hey, this is my business. Why is this suspended? What is it? This is costing us money. What do I need to do? I'm sorry I violated this stuff. I don't understand this. What do I need to do to get this thing live? And just harass them until they say, like, this is never going to work. And then go and try another one, but don't just give up when they say it's over, because it's not. Or when they say it's instant suspended, if that happens, that's just a part of the game. Cool. Jeff, what else you got?
We have Alfredo. Do you want to unmute Alfredo and ask the question? I'm not sure exactly what the detail.
Yeah, so in the software, Patrick, I'm having issues with caller ID with the client, their voicemail, and then them wanting to know when they have a voicemail, like get notified. Because when there's those 2 options in the phone number, like prevent voicemail from answering, and there's another one, when I click that, I seems to have an issue with the call flow. But when I don't click it, I have issues with, it's going to my personal number. I want to or distinguish, because they're saying the call whisper, if they're not paying attention, they'll miss it. And they're answering hello, or, instead of, LeadSnap customer service, how may I help you?
Okay, so I'm not 100% I understand your question, but I'm going to give you a little overview of these features, and maybe this will answer it along the way. So within the call flow here, there's this option here that says prevent voicemail. So if they do this, then it's not going to go to their personal voicemail, but it's also going to be required when they answer the phone, they got to press 1 to answer the call. So that, like, when this is checked, you need to press 1 to answer the call. So that's what
would that be. Is that obvious, or is it like, or no?
It says, like, the message says, press 1 to be like to answer this call or something like that. And I mean, like you said, if they're not paying attention and they don't hear that, and you don't tell them and they don't know, then it may appear that there's a problem with the call flow, where it's like, hey, like these calls come in and then nothing happens, right? So that's what that does, is in order for us to take control of the call and prevent it from going to their voicemail, then they have to press 1. So you can turn this off, and you can also change this to, like, well, I don't know, like, you can change this to like 10 seconds or something, and then have it go to this voicemail. Additionally, what you can do for like the notification part of it, you could set up an automation that says, like, hey, when after this call comes in, and you could build out this automation based on the criteria. So let's just like do an example. So I'll say, like, when a new phone call comes in, I can say, okay, if it's for, let me choose a company that this will be for. So it will put Carol's Roofing. And I'm going to add in another filter here, and I'll say, also, if this is true, like if the, let's say the status, I don't know if you guys noticed this, but we added area code this last week as well. So if the status is equal to missed, then I can send a text message or an email, whatever I want. And I could include the call recording as a part of that. And I could say, hey, a call just came in from us. Here's the info. Right. And I can include the call recording. Maybe I want to include the phone number, right? Stuff like this. So that can help notify them of this call coming in. Does that make sense, Alfredo?
Mm-hmm.
And then there's one other piece that I want to point out, that there were like parts of your question that maybe this would be useful for you to know. So if I go to numbers, so I'll go to all numbers here, and then I edit one of these numbers. There's this option in here that allows you to choose what the caller ID is going to be.
Yeah, I did change that to show the tracking number.
Okay.
So she can just save it on her phone and the
That's right.
tracking number pops up and then she'll know, okay, that's the trigger.
That's right. Yeah. And then if you're texting her, emailing her after the call, then she'll have that information. If you provide access to LeadSnap for her, then she can log in and she can also see. So there's a lot of different ways after to get that, to get the caller ID's actual number to the person, right? You may mess around with it. If the whisper message, you can make this be a little bit longer. I could say call from bear removal, because if they're answering and it's just like bear removal, and then it like they don't hear it, or they're like whatever, like putting a couple extra words. What's
Sometimes
that?
I'll put it in there twice sometimes, so it'll say call from bear removal or whatever. Just for
You can repeat this a couple times. That's what Jeff's saying. Call from bear
And
removal.
that's when you hit 1 to answer.
No, that's the whisper message. So they
Okay.
answer the call,
Right.
and then it would say this, right? So this is separate from that press 1. I don't know how it works with both. Like if you have both of the, if the press 1, I'll need to
Oh,
check.
press
on
1
that.
is to prevent the voicemail.
That's right. So that
that
would prevent it from going to their first person. So it's kind of like this. Let me just make a quick little drawing here for you. Okay. So the call is, the call's coming in, right? So the call's coming in, and the way it is normally is it's just going to like go on this like straight line. But when you put that like voicemail thing in it, then it's like, hey, this is like the LeadSnap area here, right? And it's going to stay inside LeadSnap when you put in that. And let me do it this way. So okay, so the call comes in through our call flow, and it's going. This is like inside LeadSnap. And then when you turn on that press 1, if they don't press 1, it's staying inside of LeadSnap. But if they do press 1, now it's inside of like their own phone, and we've kind of like no longer have control over it. So the default is that I don't know if this is this drawing making sense? I've got this thing in my head that
No, yeah, it does. I wasn't aware of that one. I just knew that anytime I put in a ticket, that's the first thing he would tell me. Do you have those things checked off? Like go to the last call or prevent voicemail.
Yeah.
Just take those off and it'll work. So I never played with that voicemail option.
That makes sense. And you know, Alfredo, I've got like my to-do list that I come up with every day. And one of the things is like really building out a lot more documentation and videos and training and making the call flow system have like little help icons, because I think there's a lot of confusion that surrounds this, and I've failed to do the necessary job to let everyone know how all the pieces work. So I'm committed to doing that and making it giving you guys the resources you need to clear up some of these confusions, so you're not guessing at how this stuff works.
Right. No, not, I mean, it's perfect. I'm learning as I go. So I'm
okay,
good.
cool.
Yeah.
So did this stuff answer your questions? Did we get to I wasn't 100% clear on your question in it.
No, it did actually.
Okay, cool.
You know, I just had a call with the client, and these were her concerns on the phone number, and I didn't know I don't know LeadSnap that well. So I was like, okay, I need to bring it up. And then
cool.
Now I know.
All right, awesome. All right, Mr. Jeff, do we have any other questions?
I don't see anything screaming at me in Facebook. So if anybody on the call has a question, maybe.
Oh, yeah, I have a quick
Has
question.
one. Alex has one. There we go. Go ahead, Alex.
Sorry, I'm in the car. I have to turn my video off, but I'm just I need to get more, shoes on the shelf, and I'm thinking about bringing on, BA or is there something you guys can recommend to like a done for you service sort of thing where I can build like more sites more quickly?
Yeah, we're actually about to release some done for you sites within LeadSnap. We're going to launch a marketplace where you can buy a lot of different things. The websites that we build look super professional. Sorry, hold on. I'm still recovering from being sick. It looks super professional. And we're going to have content. We have content writers. We've got a lot of systems in place that I know you guys struggle with. So, you know, I'm hoping to have this out in the next couple weeks here. I'm sure there's other done for you services. There's none that I've vetted that I trust that I can like recommend. Alex, for getting more shoes on the shelf, it's really, I've got several questions to ask, and then based on the answers to those, I can make a recommendation on what I would do if I were in your shoes. Is that cool to do that with
yeah.
you?
Yeah, go ahead.
Are you doing this full time, or are you working a job right now as well?
Yeah, I'm still working a job.
Okay. And the job that you're working, it sounds like you're maybe you have more time than money, or more money than time. If you're working and you've got money coming in, do you have some disposable income from your job that you don't need for your bills and your family and stuff that you can allocate?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I have some money I can invest in the business for sure. And I have like I'm at about $6,000 recurring revenue from the business. So I'd like to take some of that money and reinvest it into the company by maybe hiring some BAs or hiring people to help me kind of build this stuff, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. So I would say that like building out the sites is one of the first things that I would hire for. Like if I'm going to get a VA in place, and it's going to be a part-time position. We have a few videos in there that talk about hiring and the practices that you can go through. I would not be, what I would recommend is come up with an amount of like, hey, this is how much it's going to be for a site build. This is how much I'm willing to pay you, right? For a site build, because people can like, I've had this happen maybe a dozen times where I've discovered that people are like with a dozen different people on my team over the last like 6 years, where in one way or another, people are like stealing money from me because they're like logging hours. And it's like, as the agency scales, it can be hard to make sure that you're monitoring all these different moving pieces. So from the beginning, like, hey, this is what it's going to cost, right? And you like hiring for somebody to build out the website that's not going to get you the website built, because they're not going to write the content. And like, if you're hiring the right people to build a website, you shouldn't be spending more than like, a few dollars an hour, maybe like $5 to $7 an hour tops. And then like, if you're hiring those people, like oftentimes those people are going to be outside the United States. And then those are not the people that you're going to want to write the content. So by doing this, there's like a little add-on piece too. It's not just like I'll hire one person to build this. You got to have something else like with the content. So I think we're going to be given the option for both of those within our platform. But you can probably make a post on Facebook and hire somebody to write the content, and then have that content be put into the site. And you've got, what you're going to face is you're going to have like, it's not just hiring somebody, you're going to also need to have a system in place, right? So I need to have the content written, which means I need to like be able to tell someone how to write the content and what words to use and topics. And then they need to understand to do the research. And then that content needs to be delivered to the developer, and then the developer needs to be able to receive it and build it. And then I need pictures, right? Am I going to rely on the developer to go get the pictures to load into the site? So you start to get these other pieces. I'm not telling you not to do it, but I want to make sure that you're aware. It's not just like as simple as hiring. You got to plug these things in. I encourage you to do that, but I want you to be aware of what you're biting off, though.
Yeah,
right?
I think for me, it's more like just the content and hiring someone who understands like the rank and rent model. I don't even know if that's really that important, but someone that can, write content that will like rank and all that kind of stuff. Because I have a pretty good template that I use to, and I just basically have to plug in the content, right? But
right. I'm
yes.
gonna let me see if I can find this video here real quick. I did a video. Jeff, can you send me a message in chat, that video, that content video? I think it's exactly what we use for coming up with the content ideas in our agency. And it gives you endless amounts of content. I can kind of give you a, I'm sure other people have this question, so I'll just give you a quick version of it while Jeff finds this link. So this is what I would do to find content. So Alex, give me a niche, and it doesn't have to be the niche that you want. I'll find like, or somebody throw in the chat a niche, and I'll tell you the content that I would write about it.
Plumbers.
Plumbers? Was that plumbers? Is that what I heard?
Or
Yes, sir.
or tree service or something.
Tree service. Okay, I'll go tree service. All right, so let's say that I'm going to do this. I'll do tree service, Dallas, Texas. So that's my starting spot. I'm going to open up a little, hold on one second. All right. Okay, so I've got this little note here, and I am going to, I'm just going to kind of put these side by side real quick. So I've got this, oops, it's not what I wanted. I'm going to put these side by side, and I'm going to take notes as I do this, right? Okay, so what am I going to write about? So I've done a search, and I've searched for tree services, and as I kind of scroll down here, I see that, okay, so there's tree removal. So I'm going to use the related searches to tell me what Google thinks is important that is related to what I had searched for. So I'm just looking for a way in. So I've got tree removal. That's something that's important, right? So I'll say, oops.
I dropped the link in the chat, by the way, Patrick.
Thank you. I'll bring that up in just a second. So tree removal is one thing that they appear to be talking about, right? And then I see tree, I don't know why, is that the, okay. I don't know why that's different, whatever. Tree service, right? I see people are mentioning tree surgeons. So now I'm going to go and I'm going to find one of these sites. So this site is one of the, like, at least for this, they look like they're like substantial. They got 112 reviews, 4.9, 20 years in business. Let's open up their site and let's just kind of get some ideas about what they're talking about on here. What services do they provide? So these are the different services that they're providing. So we've got like tree removal, tree trimming, stump removal. Okay, so those are going to be maybe some stump grinding, I think was on there. These are going to be some of the service pages that I'm going to write about. And on my homepage, I want to mention all the different services. The homepage, if you think about the homepage, it's kind of like, this is like a summary of what the site is about, right? And I want to mention all the different services a little bit. And then those little like mentions can lead to pages that talk about this stuff in more depth. So I'm going to cover when someone comes here and they want to understand if, like, do you guys do X? And I've got a little blurb about it, then they know. And then it's a spot for them to go and find out more information about X, right? And it's also telling Google on my most important page on my site, like, here's all the different things that we do, right? So I'm making it really obvious. And if you do this, you'll be able to get a ton of content on your homepage and it will be relevant. You can see they've done a great job. This is exactly how I would do it. They got tree trimming, tree pruning. So that's going to be another one that I'm going to talk about, tree pruning, right? I'm going to go through, I'll see what other service, stump removal and stump grinding. So we've got these two different services here. Okay, so there's a gallery here. I don't know that I want that. I don't think it's going to add, there's tree care and tree cabling. So I'm going to take each one of those. And maybe this is going to be like tree removal on my homepage. Maybe there's going to be like 50 words on that. And it's going to be the same for each one of these, right? I'm going to go through and I'm just going to kind of come up with all these topics here. So now let's go back to Google and pretty much, all right. Now I'm going to do this a little bit different. I'll say tree service and I'm going to put in what? Okay. And usually, there it is right here. This is what I'm looking for. This section right here. What is another name for tree service? So this is Google telling me that this is what people, they're taking their best guess. They've got crazy amount of data and analytics, and they're using that data to come up with the questions that they think are most valuable. And this is related to my subject that I'm covering. So I'm going to talk about these. What is the tree industry called, right? arboriculture. So I'm going to take this term and I'm going to just mention this a little bit. Arboriculture. Maybe that's like another 50 words. I'm going to explain what that is. I want to make sure I'm covering the things that Google is saying is important, right? So, and then I can do this with what, and I can say, let's do how. That's going to create some good ones, right? How profitable? That's not really what we want. What questions should I ask a tree service? This is perfect. I want this. This can be on my homepage. These are the questions that people, and maybe I can reword this. Are you licensed and insured, right? So this can talk, we can talk about if it's required in like what, some states, there's going to be no license for in like required. Like if you're in Texas, that's a cowboy state where there's no rules for anything. But if you're in like California, Oregon, Arizona, then you're going to have to like have a license. That's going to like, they're much more strict. So is a license required or like, if a license is not required in the state that I'm in. So if I'm in Texas, maybe the question is going to look like this. Is a license required in Texas? Right. And then I'm going to answer like, no, in Texas, blah, blah, blah. But I'm going to make sure that I load this in a way that makes it look like we're still credible. Like, because people are going to want to know, are you licensed? And like, that's not a thing in Texas. I can have this preemptive strike. How much experience do you have? So like maybe you have a little section on your page that's like top 5 questions to ask your tree service company. And I'm going to ask these questions and I'm going to answer them for myself. So this is probably another 250 words right here, right? So that, and then I'm going to go back and I can do why. Right? I can just start building out. So I'm like getting more and more. You want to become the Wikipedia on the subject that you're covering, right? And why is tree care important? Like, that's a good question to maybe answer on there. Like, this is a benefit of this service. You can explain what are the benefits of trimming trees. Like, cover this, be the Wikipedia. You don't need to try to like, let me jam all these keywords in here and just write a bunch of nonsense that nobody wants to read. Like, actually answer the right questions. That's what Google is trying to do, is they're trying to line up the person that has the best information with the person that's searching for it. That's what the search engine's purpose is. And all this other stuff that we do is really about that. And you need to be the expert on this. Here's another thing I would do. Like whatever my thing, I would do tree service infographic, right? And I would spell it correctly. So, and then go over here to images. And I would pay somebody like a designer. We do this on almost every site. So part of what ranks your site is something, there's something called dwell time. So Google knows, like when you do a search and then you go to a site, how much time do you spend on that site? So that's dwell time. And there's something called bounce rate, where if you go and then you instantly leave, then that counts as a bounce. But if you go and then you go to another page, then that decreases your bounce rate. And Google takes these things into account when they decide the order of the ranking of websites. So if you want to manufacture a bounce rate and dwell time, you can ask some of these questions on your site and then give like part of an answer and say, for more, check out this. And then they go to that other page, and then that's no longer a bounce, and that's beneficial. And dwell time is them how much time they're going to spend on it. So if you create a graphic that maybe answers some of these questions, and it does so in an engaging way, like this stuff is not complicated. There's like programs out there that I wouldn't just take someone's, but let's say like here, like having something like this, that's going to make someone pause for a second and be like, oh, okay. I'm going to go through and read. Like if you choose the right subject for your infographic and you position it correctly on the page, then you can capture their attention, and you can make your content more engaging. And this type of thing. There's actually some strategies where you could put like a pixel or like a tracking code into this infographic that you create, and then if somebody puts it on their site, like you can reach out to them and be like, hey, you're using our infographic. You can keep it there. That's fine. But you just need to like include this link that cites our site. And then you would be getting a backlink from the site that's referencing that's about the subject that you created your infographic. Either way, though, I would get one of these on your homepage and have it, just it's great content. The internet will reward you for it. The people answer their question. Don't make some like stupid infographic that doesn't mean anything, like how this thing feels, right? Make it something that's actually like answering one of those questions. And you can spend probably $20 and have that created and put that onto your page. And when you start to do this, and also look with this this thing where how we got here on the tree service, like go to we just did one, right? So if I just do like this tree service, so maybe now I'll go to Tree Service Phoenix and I'll see what services they offer, right? And I'll go into their website, like what are they offering that this other person isn't, right? Emergency tree removal, storm damage. Maybe I add those two in here. So I'm going to build up this list and I'm going to kind of have this idea of what my page is going to look like with all the topics. And again, each one of these, this is 50 pages, 50 words on the homepage, but this is an entire page somewhere else, right? And then some of these questions can be blog articles, right? So when you start stacking this up, this is how you get to like 25 pages of content where it's all like really good content, right? So I know I over answered that question a little bit, but I also think this is how you guys should be constructing your sites to rank and do the SEO stuff. And you can have your content writer watch this video, or you can do like have someone on your team that does this part of it and says, okay, this is what I need, right? Here's the outline of what I'm looking for. And then they go and they write about, this is what we do. And this is what, when we start to sell content within the LeadSnap platform, this is what is going to be going on behind the scenes. We've got editors and writers that have been doing for years for us on this stuff. And we've got it down pretty well. All right, so
just a quick follow-up question. So when you have a VA, like, are you just kind of sending them an outline of everything, or like the major topics, and then they kind of just fill in the blanks?
Yes, and then I'll be educating my VA. Like ultimately, Alex, what you want to do is you want them to be running the show. And when you go through and you hire somebody, challenge them and hire them based on their intelligence, their problem solving, their ability to learn. Because then what you can do is you can teach them this strategy and have them be the ones that are going and doing this part. So you don't have to like give them an outline, because ultimately you want to remove yourself. And if you don't want to remove yourself and you want to stay active in the business, that's fine. But if you want to scale, you have to have other people making these decisions for you and being able to do this for you. So you can start off with giving them an outline, but long-term, you should be educating them on this process so that they can do it for you. And you should be selecting the people that you hire that have the ability to learn, right? And not just like someone who says that I've been in SEO for 9 years, blah, blah, blah. Like test them, give them, like we give all our people that we hire logic problems that they're not SEO problems. Like there's like, you've got a bucket of like, you've got a 4-gallon bucket and a 1 gallon and a 3 gallon, like, those types of problems where you like move water, like solve this problem. And then, if they can solve that type of thing, they can figure out these other things. Does that make sense, Alex?
Yeah, that's great. Thanks.
You're welcome. Cool. All right, Jeff, what else we got, brother?
We got a question from Devin. Devin, you want to unmute yourself? Come on.
Hey guys.
Devin, what's up, brher? It's good to see you.
Thank you. It's great seeing everyone else on here too, except Spencer. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, nobody knows that guy.
But no, I actually had a question. I just hopped off a sales call right before coming on here, and I guess I don't know if I'm trying to make a square peg fit a round hole, or whatever analogy you want to give for that, because this is for a concrete contractor out in California, and I'm working with him negotiating about. I'm aiming to get $1,600 a month, fly rate for what we do. And site's producing well and all that. And I'm just trying to figure out how to make things work. He's a little newer in the business. He's not going to be able to complete as many jobs as what we have coming in for the site, but I do think that he could make for a good potential long-term partner with some other niches in the area. But I guess what I'm getting at, it's like, with what we do, obviously we're under no obligation to be affordable to everyone, but how much leeway do you aim to give to where it can make sense without compromising your standards, with your pricing and talking with some of these people?
Right. There's a lot of like personal decisions that you have to make along the way. And are you like, this is a business, and you can go one of two different ways. Like you could say, hey, this is a business and I'm working my butt off to create a ton of value, and I'm going to find the company that is going to help me maximize that value. Another school of thought could be like, hey, I want to maximize my value, but I also want to have an impact. And some of these people, like maybe they're not in this position now, but if I can shape this deal in a way where maybe you're not giving them 100% of the stuff, right? And you can be upfront, like, look, man, you're not in this position, and I don't want this stuff to go to waste. So like for $1,600 a month, we're going to give you 40 leads a month. And the ones over 40, I'm going to go in this other direction, because you can't take on 100, right? You can only take on 40 or whatever it is, right? And, as you get your ducks in a row, we can expand into other markets. We're going to continue to build on this. And, there's going to be potential to move this up. You had said, as a part of your question that kind of confused me, there are opportunities to expand into other niches in this market. Is this through, like, this guy does more than concrete? And
Yes, he does more than concrete. And right now I was trying to find someone to fill the concrete hole, of course, before drilling in some more holes to plug, right?
Okay.
I'm not just going to build a site for nothing unless I've addressed that site in that area first.
Is this guy, how long has this guy been in business?
Concrete's newer for him. He's done some other things like excavation or
that's my question.
He's done. I didn't ask him specifically on the excavation end, but when I found him originally on Home Advisor, if I recall right, it was 10 or 11 years. It's been a while.
So is this guy's excavation company successful?
I didn't ask him.
Does he have other businesses that are successful, or is he, like, if he didn't mention them, then he probably doesn't, because he knows you're judging him, and like, he's not over there saying like, look, I'm new to concrete, but I've got like this excavation company with 4 crews. I've got a landscaping company with 2 crews. That's how someone talks who's got like other successful businesses, where they're trying to convince you that, hey, believe in me for this. If he's not saying that, the lack of saying that is a clue. And if he's, you need to be careful with the jack of all trades type people, because they're not great at anything. And if he's like started this excavation company and the excavation company no longer exists, and then he went into this other thing, and then that also doesn't exist, how likely is it, okay, let's try concrete. This is something that's new, but I've got like pieces of the skill set from some of this other stuff I've done. And now all of a sudden I know how to run, and I'm just going to like blow this up. And you need that. That's a little bit of a flag for me when I see that behavior. Whereas, we got a guy in, where is that guy? He's like outside of Chicago, and he had a roofing company, and then he had like a remodeling company as well. Like he's got both of those, and they're locked in. He's got like 25 people on his crew. And then he's like, I'm going into this like other niche, and I don't have experience in that. And I was like, okay, this guy's a businessman that can figure things out and solve problems. So I believed in him because of that. So I just want to put that framework there when you try to evaluate him. No,
you've answered, you gave me what I need. And I think maybe I just needed to hear it from someone else. I wasn't treating him like as if this is going to be a partnership. I was treating him like it's a customer, and can I make it make sense for him to pay me? But ultimately, I don't know. I can't say that that's someone that I feel comfortable with sending the work over to, and that this is going to prosper and flourish into other things. So
yeah,
I think I'd have got the answer for it.
Yeah, here's what I would do, Devin, is I would be prospecting for someone else, and I would be giving him the stuff while I'm doing that, and just see how it plays out with him. Like, be in super contact mode with this guy. Like, hey, did you close this job? Where are you for the month? Like, have a heart to heart. What's your best year?
I've sent him 6 jobs. He's closed 1. So far, bids are out on some of the others, and some of these estimates are pretty sizable with what's on there. And since concrete's newer, he's wanting to work it up to 50 to 100K a month within the next year, which in the realm of, or per month, 50 to 100K per month within the next year, which is doable, in concrete, especially in California. But I'm just not sold on him being the guy that can do it, even with him having closed work and being on top of him.
What's his crew situation look like?
He just has 1 truck right now, 4 or 5 guys. He was saying that he's only going to be able to do about 5 jobs a month, which I just found out in the sales call. And it's like, it's not.
What type of concrete work does he do?
Flat work, mostly. Patios, driveways, things like that. He closed a job for a retaining wall as well.
So he's licensed. If he's in California,
Yes.
you have to have a license there.
Yes.
For everything.
That was
Hey,
a question that Edwin had is, how are you handling the license situation?
Yeah. So
On the site?
yeah, so I heard that. So I was gonna work with a contractor in California, and so I'm in another group of rank and rent, and they told me, hey, get away from that, because in California you need a license for everything, and the business owners, they report you like like other people, like the competition, if they see that your website doesn't have a license, kind of they investigate like and try to report you if you're not legit. So I was thinking about using the guy license or something like that, but even they say that they go deeper. And so I don't know. Have you heard anything like that? Because I
have.
I walked away. The guy is very sincere. He tried to help. He has like 60 sites up, and he said, I have many problems working in California with concrete contractors, kitchen remodeling, and all that. So I just gave up. He told me. So I don't advise you on going on that market. Do you have anything like any experience on that market in California?
I have a ton of it in California, and I have had, here's what you do. You just put their license number on your site. I know that Oregon, I know Spencer's been dealing with some nonsense, and I think that's the anomaly. I've got maybe, 25 sites in California that have been there for 6 years or more, and I've had 0 problems with it. We put the license number on it. You can have the business owner set up a DBA with your site name for $25 a year or something, but I've never even had to go to that. I just put their license number on it. We demolished the competition all over California, and the contractors have, I don't know if they filed complaints on us. We've never had to deal with anything in California. I've had it a couple times in Arizona where they reach out and we're like, hey, here's the contract license number right here on our site. And the contractor board's like, oh, okay, thank you. Sorry, we didn't see that. Everything's cool, right? So, but Spencer's had a different experience in Oregon recently. I don't know, there's only a few states that we don't have stuff in, and Oregon, I think, is one of them. Maybe that's not the case anymore, but I haven't had to deal with Oregon.
What's going on in Oregon?
They're saying that the person actually, what we do in all these other states is we'll say we're a third-party referral site. All work is done and referred to a licensed contractor. Here's the name of their business, and here is the contract number. And that suffices in every state that I've seen, with the exception, and this is the first time that I've seen this exception in Oregon, where you actually, only the person that is running the business has to have the license. And the workaround is in Oregon is the business owner can get a DBA for that, and that should solve it. You could also, I also looked in Oregon, what do you have to do to become a licensed contractor? This is not like becoming a doctor. This is you have to file a business license, and you have to have a bond. And I think it was pretty cheap for something that could potentially make you several $1,000s a month. Spending $100 a year or $200 a year is no big deal. Edwin, I would say that I love the site, the ones that require a license, because when we go down to Texas and some of these other places where there's no license, the quality of work that is done by the people that don't have licenses is awful. And then they undercut our contractors, and our contractors find it harder to compete, where we're giving them the business, and they're trying to like carry, they're better at what they do. But some dude with a truck who's gone and bought like the cheapest equipment and puts down stuff that has like no warranty and it's going to be impossible to contact. He's competing against this person who's like, oh, I've been in the business for 20 years. I've got 4 crews. I use the best materials, the best like equipment. Our job is warranted and guaranteed and like all this stuff. They've got more overhead and they get undercut in these areas that don't have a license. So I actually prefer the ones that have a license. So that's my 2 cents, whatever that's worth.
Okay, and I have another question. I don't want to hijack the conversation here. So
no, you're good, man.
Am I good? Okay. So I did the due diligence. It's taking me a lot of time like doing the due diligence, but so I have a competitor that he has like 30 reviews, like the SEO. I feel that I can outrank him, or not outrank him, but pretty much do the same that he has a decent SEO. But the question is, would you recommend like if he has 30 review, like going against something like that? Because I'm having a hard time finding places where the review are just 10 or lower than that. Pretty much all of them that I've been trying, the places that I can get the GMB, or all of them have like 30 or 55. And man, I don't know, like what would you recommend in that case?
Reviews are a consideration, but they're not like the ultimate determining factor. I know I did a previous call and I talked to my team a little bit afterwards, and like I think that I maybe pushed the review factor more than it should have been. But it is something that we certainly consider. I would encourage you to continue to look for other cities as well as other niches. I wouldn't turn away from it just because someone has like 30 reviews. Like I'm going to get more than that. And your ability to get more than 30 reviews is like, well, you mentioned like, hey, these are like the places where I can get a GMB, but there's like another problem kind of hiding in there, I guess. It's like, what can we do to get GMBs in anywhere? Like I never really consider when I'm going into a niche, I never consider, can I get a GMB there? I'm going to find like, okay, this is the best city and the best niche that I can find. I'm going to build here, and then I'm going to get a GMB here. No matter, like, I'm just going to find a way to get a GMB here. So like, I'm not saying like, oh, I like we go into cities all the time where I don't know anyone in that area, and then we'll get 7 GMBs in that area, right? So it's not, don't limit it based on like your social circle or who you're exposed to. And then that could potentially open you up to different markets where maybe there's only like 7 reviews or 12. There's tons of, the amount of niches is unlimited, right? And obviously, like I always encourage people, choose something where the average ticket cost is at least $1,000. But when you do that and you combine that with all the different cities, I think you could find something that has less than 30 reviews. I think basketball is a really good analogy. Like I can go, I'm 6'2". So if I were going to go and play basketball against other people my height, then I'm going to win some, lose some. And, if there's someone that has like 30 reviews, maybe that's someone who is like 5'10", but I want to go and find someone who's like 4'7", and I want to play against them. Right. So where are those people? Where are the people that have 3 reviews and like 90 pages on their website? So I can play against those people. So that's kind of a good analogy for the battle that you're, 30 is not impossible. And it's one of maybe 25 factors that you should pay attention to,
Yeah.
It's not the end all be all, right? It's one thing, right?
Do you recommend, how do you get the reviews? Like, do you ask the business owner to help you with that, or?
Definitely ask the business owner if you've got that in position, but my strategy is always to build and get the leads coming in before I have a business owner. So that's not an option at the beginning. And here's what, like, I'm not sure what the law is. I'm not a lawyer, but I hear that it's illegal to like pay people for reviews. But I've also heard that a lot of like lead generators have a ton of success doing so. Like you can find people on Craigslist, you can post an ad on Craigslist and ask for like some social media help and then leverage the social network of other people. And like there's Facebook groups that you can join. Edwin, if I said like, hey, I'm going to chop your hand off next week, if you can't find a person who lives in X city, are you going to find someone? Like you'll find a way, right? So let's like go into these cities with that idea of like I don't know how I'm going to find someone.
No, maybe my question is like, maybe the problem is not the review, because I can get reviews from my friends, and my question is like, the review has to be from the local city, or can it become from outside the state?
We always try to make sure that we're getting like the local city, but I'm not sure that like that's a strict requirement, and maybe it also depends. And a review could be worded like
no, but I mean like the ranking factor. Like let's say if there's a review coming from, let's say, from Texas and the GMB is in California, is that going to affect the ranking? That's my question. Maybe I need to put it.
I think it will, but I think maybe there's still value there, and I would really focus on like, how can you find someone in Texas? If that's where there's people on this call, that Greg Adams is from Texas. There's people on this call from all corners of the earth in all states, or maybe not on this call, but within our group, right? So like, hey, like we're not going to allow you guys to like make posts within the group that say, hey, can someone give me a review, or can I pay someone? But you could make a post in the group that says, hey, I'm looking for someone in this city. And then you guys can have your own conversation privately. I'm just not going to facilitate like something that's like illegal, you know, and like within the group. But like you guys use the network that you have and create the connections that you need to. And Edwin, this is a big thing. This is maybe the most important message of this entire call. When you start a business, you're no longer an SEO person. You're no longer a like backlink or GMB. You're a problem solver. That's your job. When you own a business, solve problems. This is a problem to solve. Figure out how to get these GMBs, figure out how to get these reviews, because that is, I would love like that. That's the key. Once you can solve these problems, then you get to go to the next level in the video game. And then there's, you know, better prizes and more stuff. And that's the most important thing, is to just like figure out how to solve these problems. We are constantly dealing with problems in our agency, and we're like, we do a call every Monday. We have an issues part of that call. And then we discuss like, what are the problems that we're facing? What are the solutions? What are we going to do about it? So like, it's one thing after another. And never let this like, you don't know how to do it right now, be the reason why it doesn't happen. Is that ringing with you? Is that resonating and making sense?
Yep. Very good. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. I hope that was useful. There's a lot of other like pieces in there, and we constantly need to be pivoting. I know Devin made some big pivots. Devin, can you come back on for just a second? I know you were stuck. Yes. Devin, how long have you been running your agency from the time that you started until now?
I started to explore this business model in March 2020.
Okay, so it's been 2 years, and you had built. Now, Devin is somebody that he didn't really have like great results, and it didn't come from like lack of trying or effort. Like he wasn't sitting on his hands, right? How many sites did you have built like at the beginning, like on 6 months ago? Like you had been in
a little over 40, I'd say 45.
40 sites, right? And through conversations that you and I had, I was like, man, you are picking fights with people that are bruised. Like you're choosing the wrong niche, right? There's like basketball games that we can play against third graders in, where the winner of the basketball game gets $1,000 a month. And then there's other basketball games where we can play against people that are 7 feet tall, and the winner of the game gets $50 a month, right? There's like that exists, right? Let's choose the right games. So you had to make a pivot, right? You made a choice to kind of like deviate from this niche that you had built out a ton of stuff in, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
Did you have any, in the first 2 years, did you have any people that in your original niche with all these sites that were paying you $1,600 a month?
No. Closest
How
was
different-
1,500, but that was for the 25th biggest metro in the United States.
So you killed one area, and then you got like, I don't want to say $1,500 a month is peanuts, but if you kill the biggest metro area, like if you have the #1 remodeling website in New York City, like you're not getting $1,500 a month. You're getting $20,000, $50,000 a month for that site, right? So
Oh yeah.
like if you kill the biggest metro area and you get $1,500 a month, you're in the wrong niche, right? It's just like, that's like, you don't want to beat the 7-footers in basketball and get $7, right? Like let's beat the people that are 4 feet tall and get $2,000, right? So my point is, like, Devin, you had made this decision, like you were going to be successful with this no matter what. You built 40 sites, it didn't work. You're like, screw it, I don't care. I'm going to go and do this other thing, and I'm going to make this work. I'm just going to stay after it. And now you've got a client that's going to pay you $1,600 a month, but that didn't exist in the first 2 years, right? So you've got to make this pivot when things aren't working and adjust. And I mean that's kind of my point. And not everyone has that. And like some people are going to go down with the ship and be like, oh man, I've invested this, like it's not working. You're in the wrong niche. You're in the wrong city, right? All right, guys. I know this call was a little bit different, and it was like, hey, we're talking about these different subjects, but I think sometimes it's good to just like explore, see where things go. Are there any final questions before we wrap this one up?
Real quick, Rafael is asking, do we use the same kind of keyword research for ads?
So for ads, yeah, let me, no, I don't have any handy. I would do something similar for ads. Yes. And I would be very sure, like when you're building out like your SEO strategy for like organic ranking, you're going after things that maybe are going to be leads, but they might not have the same value. Like, right. Like if we go back to concrete, maybe we want to rank for like sidewalk repair because that's going to bring in like sidewalk replacement. When you're building out your ads, you probably don't want sidewalk repair to show up because you're going to pay. What if you're paying like $25 to get a lead and the person is converting, 1 out of 5 times. So that's $125 that's going to be spent. And then the job costs like $100, right? That's not going to be a good equation. So I would make sure I would do the same type of research. I would find out, but I would make sure that I'm choosing like the high value, the high dollar targets for the research that I do with ads. And I wouldn't be as committed towards that with organic because I'm not paying for those, right? I'm not paying on like a per lead basis or a per click basis like I am with ads. Rafael, does that make sense? Is he on this call? I thought he was on this call.
Yeah, he was in the chat. Maybe he had to bounce.
All right. This has been the longest call that we've done in a while. But I hope you guys liked it. Let's call it a wrap. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I know we're a little bit all over the place. Different topics. Hopefully you guys got some value from that. For the rest of you guys, like you got 7 days for the next call. We start every call with the wins. Can you do something? And I challenge you within the next 7 days. Are you capable of creating a win? And that could be building like, hey, I built 3 sites, or it could be that like, hey, I got my first site up. I chose a niche. Do something, take action. You got 7 days, right? Don't waste it. If you want things to change for you and you're not, 7 days go by and you haven't done anything to move things forward, you're doing something wrong, right? Things aren't going to change if that's the pace you're going at. It's going to take too long. Like, I love you guys, but you need to get some tough love and get off your ass if you're not taking action and like make something happen in this next week, guys. Create a win in the next week, no matter where you are. Let's move forward a little bit. Let's be in a better position on the 15th than we are on June 8th, right? Let's be in a better position. So do what you have to do over the next 7 days, wherever you are in this journey. Do something to make something happen that you can share. That's progress on the next call. All right, guys, you guys have an awesome week, and we'll see you in the group. Take care.